Big Dipper is a defunct coaster that opened as the largest coaster in the world in 1925, standing a whopping 65 feet tall with a top speed of 32 miles per hour and 2,680 feet of track. Despite its weak stats, Big Dipper was known for its classic airtime-filled out-and-back layout featuring buzz bars. Big Dipper met its untimely demise when Geauga Lake Park in Aurora, Ohio closed forever in 2007. But was it the best ride in the park? And how did it stack up against similar rides that are still operating today, such as Blue Streak at Cedar Point and Phoenix at Knoebels? Thank you for joining me for the first ever defunct coaster review here on Defunct Coasters. Let's take a ride together down memory lane on the classic and never forgotten coaster, Big Dipper. Big Dipper was built by the grandpappy of modern coasters, John A. Miller, in 1925 and originally was named Skyrocket. Sometime in the late 40s, it was renamed to Clipper, and eventually it was settled on the name Big Dipper in 1969. At the time of its closing in 2007, Big Dipper was the oldest operating coaster in Ohio and the 7th oldest in the United States. You can still ride a few classic John A. Miller coasters today around the world, including Roller Coaster at Lagoon, all 3 classic wooden coasters at Kennywood, and the same name Big Dipper at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Because the ride was only 65 feet tall, it made a great first adult coaster for kids and a great family coaster that thrilled people of all ages. In fact, Big Dipper was one of my first adult credits. I rode Big Dipper with my mom when I was little, and my mom also grew up riding Big Dipper with my grandpa. I know many people in the area have memories and enormous sentimental value attached to Big Dipper as I do. I'd love to hear all of your memories about Big Dipper in the comments below. Big Dipper was located in the middle of the park, and many of the rides and buildings were built up around the ride, giving it a classic, almost boardwalk feel. It featured a slight dogleg to the left with a turnaround near the lake. At the time of its closing, it had brown supports and dark red rails. There were 2 trains with 4 cars per train. Each car had 3 rows for a total of 24 riders per train. Now, let's review the ride experience. Special thanks goes out to David Ellis for this amazing POV footage. I'm sure you're already following his channel for the wealth of coaster videos he has put out over the years. Big Dipper had a narrow loading station and featured old school manual brakes. After the all clear, the train would turn 180 degrees out of the station and rise into the 65-foot lift hill. At the top of the hill, the train made another 180-degree turn, this time to the left. There were no laterals up here, but it did offer a nice view from the middle of the park. The first drop gave great floater throughout the train and some ejector in the back. It quickly brought the ride up to speed. The first camelback, along with every hill from here on out, delivered strong floater air at the top of the hill in the front of the train and ejector airtime going down the hill in the back. This third hill is my favorite part of the ride. The ride doglegs left ever so slightly, launching riders into the right side of the train while giving more doses of ejector airtime. Also, the tree overhanging the drop gave a sudden and surprise head chopper effect. The fourth hill features the only straight track on the ride, but the airtime coming off the straight section was good, but not quite a double down. The turnaround is the only place the coaster lets up at all, allowing riders to take a breather. I wouldn't call this a dead spot in the ride though, as the turnaround offered amazing views of the lake and moderate laterals. The return trip featured 6 back-to-back camelbacks, each one delivering strong airtime as in the first half of the ride. Even though the top speed is 32 miles an hour, it felt so much faster because of the close proximity of the surrounding rides and buildings, along with the buzz bars. The ride's pacing was also great, as it didn't lose too much speed over the tops of the hills. As with most wooden coasters, Big Dipper had its years when it was running great, but also had some rough seasons. When it was running great though, as it was at the time of its closure, it offered one of the best classic coaster rides out there. So how does it stack up? Big Dipper was my number 1 at Geauga Lake. The ride experience coupled with my nostalgia for the ride makes it one of my favorite coasters ever. Big Dipper, along with the Villain and Raging Wolf Bob's, made Geauga Lake one of the best wooden coaster parks in the country when they were running well. In my rankings, I put Big Dipper below Phoenix, as Phoenix's airtime is better, and it runs faster than Big Dipper, while offering more laterals. Phoenix is a top 5 ride for me, while Big Dipper is a top 15 ride. I would take Big Dipper over any of the John Miller coasters at Kennywood, and I would put it way ahead of the other classic coasters in Ohio, like Blue Streak and Racer at Kings Island. The ride was way more fun than Blue Streak or Racer, offering a more out-of-control ride and superior airtime in a classic setting. Because of the historic status of the coaster, there was hope it could be relocated, or even anchor a shopping and entertainment complex on the abandoned site of Geauga Lake. The coaster was even listed for sale on eBay and attracted a few buyers, but ultimately Big Dipper was demolished in 2016. Big Dipper is one of my most cherished defunct coasters. Big Dipper and Geauga Lake as a whole are my Roman Empire. It lives on today, only in the memories of those who loved it. Thanks again so much for joining me here on Defunct Coasters. Please make sure to give me a follow. I'm going to be making a ton more reviews of defunct coasters, and I'll also have vlogs from various coaster parks around the country. Thanks again, and may Big Dipper rest in peace.